One of the trickiest social skills there is to teach is sarcasm. Sarcasm is sort of abstract, it's kind of intangible. A lot of times, if you ask somebody how they knew someone was being sarcastic, it's because of the feeling they got, or just, they felt something not right in their gut. But sometimes kids just don't get that feeling. They just literally don't know, okay? So it's something that needs to be taught a little bit more concretely. So, when you actually teach what is sarcasm, how to detect, how to understand if someone was being sarcastic, what you can do is teach 5 observable things to assess if they're being sarcastic. The first thing would be the tone of voice. Is the tone of voice very exaggerated, like over the top? Oh my God, that's amazing. Or is it very flat? Oh my God, that's like the most amazing thing ever. Okay, so extremes either way. The next observable thing you can have them look out for is the facial expression, namely usually like a smirk or like a rolling of the eyes kinds of things, something where they're contorting their face that they normally wouldn't do if they're just talking. The third observable thing you can teach them to look out for is body language. Is again the person exaggerating? Are they doing something they normally wouldn't do? Are they tilting back? Is something a little bit different in their body language than the norm? The fourth thing is the context. Is what they're saying matching the situation? This is probably the easiest and the most important tell. Okay, so if something bad just happened, like someone just failed a test, and someone said, wow, you did amazing, it doesn't match. So that would tell you that they're likely being sarcastic. And the fifth and final one is the word choice. Are the word choices, like I just said, amazing, awesome, the best, oh, this is my favorite? Are they, again, exaggerated? Are they over the top words that are used, remember we just said, in a context that doesn't really match? And so obviously running through all those 5 things when someone's talking to you, when you're just having an interaction, especially if it's a group interaction, that's going to be a little bit difficult. We can't expect kids on the fly to be assessing word choice, facial expression, context, all that kind of stuff. But what you can do is review it and talk about it and do certain activities so that when they are in that situation, it will become a little bit more natural. Okay, it's not going to be an overnight thing, but it's something that they're going to learn to discern over time. But it's something that some kids would really, really benefit from having that other isolated practice apart from like real life. So in a social skills group or a small group or a counseling session or a speech session, something like that, so they can practice and ask questions. The other important thing about sarcasm is that we have to be careful that we don't make the children think that they're being bullied when someone might be being sarcastic, but in an actually joking way. Okay, I'm being sarcastic, but I'm not trying to be mean. So how do you interpret if someone's being mean to you or someone's just teasing, just joking? Okay, so again, there's some observable things you can think about when you teach children how to decipher if the sarcasm is just, innocent joking, or if it's really rude and uncalled for. The first thing would be, how do you feel? Again, not all kids feel differently. I've seen this firsthand with some kids just really, the feeling isn't there yet. It will develop, but it's not there yet. But for some kids, like, how did you feel? Did something feel off to you about this interaction? And the second thing would be, how well do you know this person? Is this like your best friend who's usually really nice to you, but all of a sudden they're being mean and sarcastic? Or do you know this person to joke around, and so it's probably an innocent thing? You may not like it and you can tell them, but the intention was not to be mean. And the last thing you can sort of look for to decipher, is this rude, mean, or is this joking around, is what does the room look like? Can you see, are people uncomfortable? What are their facial expressions like? Or is it tense? Or is this just like a fun, lighthearted situation? Okay, this may have some nuance as well, but those are three things you can look for in, when you're trying to tell if this is rude and I need to assert myself, or avoid this person or approach it however way, or if it's just a lighthearted interaction. Lastly, if someone is being sarcastic to you, how do you respond? Because there's one thing knowing, like, hey, this person's being like super sarcastic with me. How do I respond? It can be so awkward, especially if there's people around. So, again, this is something that you can teach them, that they have options, and you practice those options in a smaller setting where they can explore actually physically saying these things, and so they can get a sense of like how it feels, where you can role play it out and they can see the reaction of the other person that they're role playing with. But let them know that they have options. Okay, just because someone's being sarcastic to them doesn't automatically mean they have to be sarcastic back. Okay, they have options. So one thing is, if the person is just being playful, or maybe even if they're not, one option is to play it off. Okay, like play it cool, like they're being sarcastic to you, like, yeah, that was the best ever. You can get it right back, like, yeah, I know it was an epic, I don't know, something that shows that you're unbothered and you're just playing along. Okay, that's an option. If you're not comfortable with that and you want to call it out and you don't want it to happen again, this is where you probably want to be more assertive. Assertive, not being aggressive, just saying how you feel and with confidence. So you can say, you didn't have to be rude about it, or I didn't ask your opinion about it. Something like that, where they have to just say, I see what you did there. I'm not here for it, basically. Another option would be to ignore it. Sometimes it's better if you just kind of like move along. This person is being rude to you. Nothing you do really is going to help the situation. Your retort is not going to move the needle, or it's just kind of like ask for more unpleasantness. Just move along and go to your friends or people that you actually do want to be with. Or you can actually go to an adult if it's really something that's hurtful and bothersome and you're not feeling good about it and you don't know how to deal with it. Then every child, every student should have some trusted adult, whether it be a parent or a teacher or whoever. Lastly, one thing you can do is ask for clarification. Has that ever happened to you where you're not sure if someone's kidding? I think it happens to adults all the time. You can literally just say, like, wait, are you joking or are you kidding? If it's not obvious, because sometimes it's just not obvious. Sometimes it's very obvious, especially if the situation is very out of context. Like I said, someone like fails a test and you say congratulations on your great grade. Obviously, completely opposite. But sometimes you may feel like, hey, I got an 80 on that test. I don't think it's great. And someone's like, yeah, great job, because they think it's a bad grade. So you can ask them, like, are you joking? Are you kidding? If you feel comfortable with that, go ahead. It's fine to ask for more clarification verbally, or take a beat and look at their face more clearly or more carefully, and look at the environment a little more clearly. And that might help you decipher if they're being sarcastic or not, and if you want to respond or not. So in general, what you need to do are give kids this information, but information, like I said before, is not enough, okay? Information needs to be applied. It needs to be said. Kids need to practice this, okay? They need to physically say the words. They need to practice their gestures. They need to practice their proximity, because it's a lot different reading something or hearing, this is what your options are, than actually doing it in the moment. So role plays are great. Kinesthetic activities are really good for this. I would encourage doing as much practice as you can. Also sharing how you feel, sharing maybe past experiences, identifying when you're being sarcastic. Maybe some kids don't realize that they're coming across that way. Maybe they don't mean to be, but they are. So it's a really important topic that takes a lot of time. It takes a lot of, revisiting, but because it is an abstract and sort of a more higher level skill, it's something that is really important, especially for kids as they get older in middle school and high school.